All right, we are going live with the legendary Malik. Such a phenomenal human, ADHD champion, brilliant tech. I don't want to say tech bro, but definitely have had some amazing stints working in big tech. And we're going to dive into all sorts of questions from how do you get a job in tech? What does that interview process look like? How can
Mhm.
folks like find the support externally and internally as well? And then all the way
Absolutely.
into how do we tap into our brains and maximize our ADHD strengths. So
Yep.
want to kick it off first with what we do, and then we'll dive right in. So we're building the next LinkedIn for the neurodiverse at Mentra, and we are based in San Francisco, and we have been meeting amazing talent and just like creators, entrepreneurs, builders like
Yep.
Mālik, and are bringing folks onto these calls to really empower neurodivergents and people with disabilities to know what's possible in the world of work, in the future of work, and how to get the right skills needed to be ahead of the curve.
Yep.
So, Malik, do you want to share a quick intro on yourself too?
Absolutely. I do identify as a tech bro, so no worries there. But hello, everyone. My name is Mbaye. I am an AI growth operator. I help companies build and implement AI technology to grow their business, whether that's marketing, customer success, product development. I started my career in Meta back in 2018, and since then, I've worked at several top tech companies. And that led me to starting a venture studio. And so I've helped founders raise over $50 million in funding and generate over $10 million in revenue. And I have built dozens and dozens of products. And so super excited to connect with Jillica and talk about how I've leveraged my ADHD superpowers, because I'm a big champion of ADHD and embracing your true inner self. And, I've been able to leverage that to accelerate my career. And I've actually turned it into a business model. And so excited to share my experience and help all the job seekers, entrepreneurs, people who are looking to break into tech, and don't want to feel like they have to put themselves in a box.
Ooh, speaking of boxes, yeah, tell us about your story with your own neurodivergence. Give us like a quick, backstory on like how you learned about it and how you
Yeah.
went to overcome it. Some of
I
the
mean, it's
challenges too.
crazy. I have adult ADHD that was diagnosed very late. I mean, my mom, I love you so much, mom. I hope you're watching this. But when I was a kid, I used to change outfits like 4 or 5 times a day. Right. And then I would always have these varied interests. Like I would dance, I would create, I would do photography. And my mom would always tell me that I couldn't stick to one thing. And it used to make me feel a little bit insecure. But instead of using that as an excuse, I leaned into it and I figured out a way to work on a wide variety of projects. And so when I got into tech, I was working at Meta, and your first year is always a bit of a ramp up. And I started kind of dealing with some mental health challenges, which led me to seeking out therapy. I'll be honest about that. And it was actually through my therapist that I discovered that I had ADHD. And, at first it made me feel maybe a bit insecure because, maybe there's a stigma around neurodivergence. Again, people are calling it a disability. I have a friend, Ebony Freeman. She calls it differently abled, right? But once I was able to have that clarity, I now had a deeper understanding about myself, and I knew what did I need to be successful. And so I got diagnosed maybe in like my mid 20s, but since then it's been a journey, but I have been able to embrace it wholeheartedly. And in my founder journey and my content, I'm a huge, huge, huge champion for it, because there's not enough conversation around what it's like to be an ADHD founder or someone who's neurodivergent in tech. Not just ADHD, but anyone who has any type of neurodivergence. And so that's my journey. I didn't find out till later, but I am so glad that I did, and I embrace it wholeheartedly.
Love that. Yeah, we need more folks that are in these positions of power, like
Yeah.
championing their own differences, like actually talking about it. Because then it's like, oh, if they can do that and they're in leadership positions, like,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes it more acceptable for everyone to see the correlation.
Absolutely.
Love that. Can you share like, so you were at Meta, LinkedIn, like some really big companies.
Mm-hmm.
How did you? And then I know that you've worked and also helped people get actual jobs and go through the process of interviewing. So we're going to dive
Mm-hmm.
into all of that today.
Yeah.
Just to start off, like with big tech, what was your kind of entryway into getting into these companies? Like, what did you
Yeah.
study? And were there
Yeah.
any kind of hacks or things that you learned that really helped you like stand out from other applicants?
That is a really great question. Well, I studied at the illustrious Howard University. HU, you know. So all the people in the chat, they're gonna know what
No.
that is. Um, but I studied computer information systems at Howard. By the time I got to Howard, I had already built a successful e-commerce store, making well over six figures by the time I was 18. But I had to actually exit that business at a bit of a loss, if I'm being honest. And that took a lot out of me, but it led me to build the thesis that has essentially driven my career, which is what does it mean to build and launch great products? Because I recognized that I had an amazing idea. I mean, thousands of people were buying my product, and I didn't do any type of paid advertising. It was just storytelling and display. But I wasn't able to really scale it to its true potential. And so, how do you solve that problem? Well, you have to study success. Success always leaves clues, right? I don't know if it's Jim Rohn or somebody who said that. And so I'm like, let me go to these big companies because they're obviously doing something right. And how can I learn from them? And so I started kind of, doing the normal thing. You go check out finance, you go check out consulting, but I couldn't get an internship. But by the time I'd cracked that code, I discovered that I felt most comfortable in tech because it was the most accepting of that type of like neurodivergence. Um, and so I started kind of like prepping and working and trying to figure out what was the best role. I actually did the Google Bold program, the Bold Immersion program, and that's a program that's designed to introduce people to non-technical roles within the tech industry. And so Google Bold taught me about product management, product development, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect for me because it's cross-functional, it's interdisciplinary. It allows you to practice multiple skills, and it allows you to work across multiple different products. And so, for somebody who has ADHD or somebody who has a lot of varied interests, that was something that I was very, very attracted to, right? Like the opportunity to support multiple teams, to work on different products, and to build and launch. And so I decided to go all in on product marketing as a career path. And so I applied to Google, ended up getting a job offer there. I applied to Facebook, ended up getting a job offer there, but I decided to ultimately go to Facebook. And my entry point is that I always like to start preparing like well in advance. And so as soon as I discovered that product marketing was the thing, I started reading every article. I still have a YouTube playlist that's over 10 years old where I was watching different interviews, just like you're watching right now, and trying to learn about how do you actually break into this industry. And so I started to learn about Facebook's organization, their culture, how they structure their teams, what they measure people on, how they evaluate product marketers. And I was prepping before I even saw a job application open or even knew if this position was available at Facebook. And then one day, somebody who was also studying information systems at Howard, her name is Azia Hobson, shout out to her. She came to me and she was like, hey, did you know that Facebook is actually coming to Howard University to recruit for their product marketing manager program? And I was already 3 months into my prep and I was like, oh my God, this is my shot. So how do I make the most of that opportunity? Well, I said, okay, if Facebook's coming here, I've been prepping. I need to do something to stand out. And so I actually prepared my resume, I prepared a cover letter, but I had to add a little bit of personality in there. And so I actually designed my resume and cover letter to mimic my Facebook wall. And so on the left-hand side, you had like, the experiences listed out. And on the right-hand side, I had a wall post that was essentially, a wall post that was essentially, my cover letter. And when I showed up to the event, I already knew the answers to all the questions that they were asked. They were like, "What is product marketing? What do you think about this?" And I was already so well versed that I was able to take advantage of that. And then at the end of the event, I came to the recruiter, I gave her my pitch, and then when I showed her my cover letter, she was so impressed by the level of preparation and the level of investment that I made before even getting a shot, that she became a champion and a sponsor for me. And her name is Laura Mesa. I thank her to no end. And I'm definitely going to send her this interview on LinkedIn. And so she became a sponsor. She helped me out. She helped me prep for interviews. I got an interview with Facebook. And at that point, it was history because I'd been prepping so long. And so that is actually the perfect example of how you can use your neurodivergence to stand out in the job market. I have ADHD. I'm very interest driven. I have hyperfixations. I'm a passion driven entrepreneur. And so I leverage that to do things that other people wouldn't do. My hyperfixation, like I'm prepping for 3-4 months before an opportunity even comes, and I'm going the extra mile. And that ADHD approach to the job market and really embracing my unique personality and strengths is what allowed me to break into a program that had a 0.6 acceptance rate. And we were actually the final class of APMMs at Facebook. And I'm very proud of what all my fellow colleagues have gone on to achieve.
Oh my gosh, that is, I did not know that you tailored your resume to be in the form of a Facebook wall. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
makes me think like, especially when it's such a, competitive job market, like it's unique when you have a unique value
Mhm.
add, value proposition, and then you also tailor it to what the needs of the company are, like that can make all the difference. What's
Mhm.
interesting in the job market today is people are sort of spray and praying, right? They're applying to all sorts of jobs and hoping for the
Mhm.
best. But what I love about your approach is you had your dream company in mind. You're like, this
Mhm.
is where I want to work. And then you tailored your resume around that. And I think that's a really, I think, especially we talked about this, ADHD hyperfixation. Like if you have a
Mhm.
dream place you want to work and like something unique about it, and you can you can express how you provide this competitive edge based on your passion. Like if a company sees that and they're like, wow, this person actually genuinely really cares about our mission or like what we're trying to do in the world, the chances of you getting the interview are so much higher.
Yep.
It's just it's like, okay, they're actually not just going to bring their best performance, but they're going to bring their passion, which means they're going to work maybe more productively or over time to get outputs and results. So I think
I
that's
could
brilliant.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that in today's job market, you have to build a brand if you want to stand out. It's gotten so competitive. And now I have a quote where I say the age of resumes is over. If you want to stand out in the job market, it's all about your portfolio. And that's an example of that approach in real time. And so I believe that you should definitely have your top companies, you should have a clear vision, and you should be able to articulate, why do you want to work at this company? Why do you want to work at this team? Why is this type of job function like ideal for you? And what about you, your story, your experiences actually makes you most qualified to succeed? And even if you don't have the technical qualifications, a lot of times, you can't train character. You can't train grit. I can always give you hard skills, but like that je ne sais quoi that drives you to be great. It's like when people see that in you, they latch onto it, and that's what allowed me to really stand out. Is like I lead with authenticity, I lead with my strengths, and I'm not afraid to be myself, and I'm not afraid to go the extra mile, and that's what allowed me to remain competitive in the job marketplace.
Yeah. In fact, it just reminded me from the other perspective, the interviewer. I've had situations where I ask someone, okay, well, why do you want to work for us or this company? And
Mhm.
they like don't know why, and they just like, they're like, I think it's cool. But if they
Mhm.
had done some research and said, I saw that you are, focusing on these goals this
Yeah.
year, this is your imperative, like this is why I want to work here. It just
Yeah.
not only shows you did your homework and research, but again, it's like you just ahead of the rest of the people you're competing against sometimes. So
Mhm.
highly recommend doing that research before an interview and just like figuring it out. And then even when you like open with that, it's like, I am so excited to take this interview. I just have to say before we dive in, like I really am excited about this company for X, Y, and Z reason. Like
Mhm.
immediate first impression, just like,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
helpful.
Mhm. Yeah.
So speaking of, do you have any like? I know you've gotten a lot of folks placed at companies.
Mhm.
How have you like? Especially for folks that maybe don't give eye contact or speak in a
Mhm.
different way. Like any tips or ways to just share like what their cognitive skills are and strengths are in those
This is
processes.
That's a great question. Like I said, the age of resumes is over. If you want to win, it's all about your portfolio. Now, if you're someone who is neurodivergent and maybe, like you said, you speak differently or you struggle with eye contact or whatever the case is, there are ways that you can make yourself stand out and you can show your value. And this is the power of the internet. It's like before you get to the interview, the recruiter has already researched you. You have to start thinking, you have to begin with the end in mind, right? I think it's like 7 habits of highly successful people. And so what is going to happen after they interview you? They're going to go back to a committee and they're going to review their notes on how you answer different questions, how you respond, how you perform, and then the committee is going to decide. They're going to circulate your resume. They're going to circulate, if you have a portfolio, they'll circulate that too. And so how do you preempt that conversation? I like to treat my job search like a sales process. Like I sell myself like I sell B2B SaaS, right? I'm going to come to you with a pitch deck. I'm going to come to you with case studies. I'm going to come to you with articles. I'm going to come to you with social media content. All of that highlights my different experiences. And so if I worked on a project in the past, I'll write a LinkedIn article about it. I'll make a LinkedIn post about it. I'll make a LinkedIn video about it, and then I'll post it on social media as well, right? And even if you don't have past job experience, even before I got my first internship at Accenture, I didn't have internship experience. All my friends were getting competitive internships in their freshman year. I was like, oh my God, I want in on this. But I took online courses on Coursera. I took like 5 online courses, and then I would document them on my resume, just like real experiences. And then I would publish my thinking around what I learned. So documenting your process. And so when you come, it's like they're already pre-sold on you, right? So you can use online courses. If you're in college, you can use your research projects. You can still use past research projects that you did in undergrad, because what matters is your work. What matters is your process. They just want to see what you produce. And guess what? It doesn't even have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be amazing. It just has to show your process, because that's what they're hiring for. When you're in tech, you're going to deal with a lot of ambiguity. But if you can show them how you solve problems and what your approach is, you can gain trust. And so if you're in situations where you might have some unique nuances around how you approach interviews that some people could say puts you at a different advantage or a different type of position in the game. It's like, how do you do the work before the interview to pre-sell them, right? How do you come with your notes already prepared, your questions already prepared? How do you have the best follow-up email possible? Immediately goes out. How do you have tailored messaging for each of the interviewers? Like if I know multiple interviewers, I'm going to send dedicated, tailored, customized networking messages to each of them. I never send the same thank you email, and I write all of them myself, right? And so I think the answer to that question is, how do you deal with different types of abilities that might show up differently in an interview? Try to do everything you can outside of the interview to make it clear that you're the perfect candidate. Is your LinkedIn bio good? What are your featured posts? Is your LinkedIn as robust as possible? Do you have a good cover letter? Have you tried to practice your interview questions? I would literally take cold showers, and then I would recite my interviews like this. And I would call all my smartest friends, and I would make them grill me on case questions and product thinking questions until I would literally like throw up. Well, not throw up, but I'm just being dramatic. But it was very aggressive. And so how do you shift the odds in your favor? By putting in the work. Because I mean, for an average company to make a hire, it might cost them like $100,000-$200,000 when you think about the time, the investment, travel, all of that. You're taking a lot of time away. So they're putting money into this. By the time they get into the interview, they're already in the hole investing into you. So when you show them that you've put in the work to invest yourself first, man, you're cooking with grease.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, well said. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so much value there. Tori says, I can't tell you how valuable this information is. Thanks for being so generous and sharing your expertise. I totally agree. Yeah, it's that sort of ability to, channel your energy, because we have so much of it, especially as ADHDers,
Yep.
to where it's
Yep.
like actually like showcasing that, like capturing it and like putting it into like doing the pre-work up front, doing
That's
the
it.
research, putting
Yeah.
a slide deck together. I like that idea. Like, here's why
Yeah.
I think I would be a great fit for your company. If someone sees
Mhm.
that you do that pre-work, they're like, wow, imagine what this person could do on our team. Like, you're already
Exactly.
setting yourself up for success. So I
Exactly.
think that's great. What do you think? So, when it comes to the market right now, there's this sort of overarching like
Mhm.
narrative around how challenging it is. Though at the same time, we're seeing startups,
Yeah.
hire abundantly right now.
Mhm.
Roles are being posted every single day. And
Yeah.
I mean, even big corporate, right? They're hiring across engineering, AI engineering,
Yeah.
cloud engineering,
Yeah.
cyber. Like, we're seeing
Yeah.
growth. So I would love for you to share more of what, is coming up in the market as you look at job trends and where people
And
should
then we
be
gotta
investing time.
Absolutely. And then we got a comment on the live stream here saying the interview needs to be transcribed and made into a guide from Ronso Hobby. He's getting so much value. So shout out to him on my end. But to your question, there's a lot of uncertainty in the job market. And shout out to my father on this one. He had me listening to Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar on the car, driving us to school as kids every single day. He turned our car into a university on wheels. And Brian Tracy has this amazing anecdote where he's like, he's just telling the tale of two salesmen. It's raining, thunderstorming outside. And so one salesman says, man, it's a horrible day to make sales. It's raining. I can't be bothered. And then the other salesman says, wow, it's a great day to make sales. It's raining. Everybody's going to be home. And that is a really great metaphor for how you need to approach life. It's like, this is not the first challenge that's ever happened in the job market. Hello, agricultural revolution, industrial revolution. Let's talk about dot-com boom and bust. Now it's the AI boom. And so there's always going to be things changing. The only thing constant in life is change, but you get to choose if you're going to use that as a disadvantage or your edge. I think Napoleon Hill says like within every challenge, there's the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. Now, some people are getting 60 million compensation package, $1 million compensation. You've never heard of these types of numbers before, just out the gate. Like people are competing for talent while other people are just stuck in like AI is going to take my job. AI is not going to take your job. Somebody using AI might, so you better start using it. Okay, we can help you with that. Shout out Mentra, right? But the jobs are just going to change, okay? And so you need to be thinking about how do you just make yourself competitive? And right now there is a huge opportunity because there is so much information. There's so much new technology, new tools. If you're feeling insecure, don't worry. All of us are. I know like senior engineers, and I, as a semi-technical person, I know technologies that they don't know, right? Because it's impossible to keep up. So that means that all of this change is your opportunity. If you put in a little bit of work, if you study, Brian Tracy says, if you study 1 hour per day in your field, within 1 year, you will be in the top 10% in your industry. Because people don't do that. They leave school and they don't study. So don't be out here being like, oh my God, woe is me. The job market sucks. You should be like, oh my God, there's so much change. The companies are changing. Their needs are changing. This is the perfect opportunity to stand out because the idea of the perfect candidate has like evolved. Like what companies are looking for has evolved. And so they're looking for people who are go-getters. They're looking for people who are willing to go the extra mile to learn these tools, to learn this new technology. And all you need is a couple YouTube videos. All you need is a couple weekends of focus. Like you take 2 weeks, you play around with these different tools, Claude, Replit, Lovable, N8N, ClaudeBot, whatever the case is. Within 2 weeks, you would probably be well ahead of 50% of people. Like if you look at the total amount of people who have adopted ChatGPT in the world, I think it's still like single-digit percentage. Right? Like most of the world knows AI is changing everything, but they are not actually in the trenches and building it. And so I think that, the people who are going to win in this AI race, I call it the AI arms race, if you will. It's the people who are building the robots, right? Or the people who are helping to on-ramp people into this new reality. And so if you look at the job market, don't let it stress you out, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So use this as an opportunity. Period.
Period. Mic drop. Wow. Your quotes have been just hitting. I love this. Thank you. Wow. Okay. There's so much there. Tons of growth and change in the job market. And I think it goes also like we need to be adapting. We need to be changing. It made me think about like neuroplasticity. And, I love that your dad was playing those videos because, yeah, a lot of times it's like how much, we could just listen and absorb and immerse ourselves in this environment of like AI, tech change. In fact, what's so funny is I was learning to use Claude Cowork. I recently got on it. And I was at a hackathon and I asked someone like, hey, how, do you have any tutorials or recommendations? And he's like, nah, I just ask Claude like, hey, how do I best utilize you? And then it like will tell you, so it's not even, and I was like, that's so much easier. You just give me a really good list. You walk me through it.
That's one of my favorite strategies. Literally. It's like AI already knows itself. It's like, you don't got to worry about figuring out how to use AI. Just ask AI what to tell it. And so sometimes when I'm trying to solve unique problems, I just ask the AI, I'm like, hey, What do I need to tell you to get the outcome that I want? And me and the AI, we talk to each other. Just treat it like your little Jarvis, right?
Oh,
And
for
ask
sure.
the AI to help you learn, to help you solve problems, right? And so now there's no excuse. And this is again why there's so much opportunity, because humans kind of have a natural, like, man just naturally seeks comfort, right? I think they talk about that in that book, Dopamine Nation. Like, the desire for comfort, pleasure, entertainment, it's just a normal human thing. But that means that people aren't just going to put in the work. So if you just do a little bit, if you just do a little bit, I'm telling you, you'll be ahead of your class. And so definitely that's a great tip on how to leverage AI and how to make the most of it.
Speaking of Dopamine Nation, so Malik recommended this book to me yesterday. And to
Yeah.
prep for this webinar, I was like, I need to absorb this. And so 2x speed, took in so much knowledge. It's a great book called Dopamine Nation, just on addiction and society and the dopamine economy, as they call it, right?
Mhm.
And how, the dopamine spikes from different stimuli when you're so over bombarded with all of this from the world, how, especially in the United States, because we have the
Mhm.
highest purchasing power. So we are just like constantly trying to, being influenced.
Mhm.
How can we have signal in the noise, right? And how can
Mhm.
we change our lifestyle, change our mindset, change our
Mhm.
behavior to focus
Mhm.
on positive, healthy
Yeah.
behaviors as opposed to these external stimuli that what did you take away from the book? I mean, just tapping on like I think it's so relevant to ADHD and the whole like pleasure
Yeah.
pain balance rule.
Yeah, yeah. We got Moxie Hampton, who loved the Jarvis reference. She's a tech girly boss babe, and she's absolutely amazing. I met her at a conference. So shout out to Moxie, and shout out to everyone who's joining the chat on my end. In terms of the takeaways from Dopamine Nation, my good friend and colleague, he's an internationally published model, designer, and entrepreneur. His name is Ferris Jabril. He recommended the book to me, and it's completely changed my life, because it allows me to have an understanding of the processes that are going on in my brain, right? Because sometimes something will happen to you and your body will react. It's like if somebody hits that one part of your funny bone, you're just going to get the tingle. But that's the same thing that's happening in your brains when, like, these neurons are firing and all this kind of stuff. And so it allows me to kind of detach myself from what I'm experiencing. It allows me to have clarity, because sometimes you'll find yourself in a loop where you're like, oh my God, I want to stop this behavior, or I want to move towards my goal, but I just feel stuck and I don't know why. I really want to change. I really want to evolve. What's going on? Why can't I commit? Why am I still laying in bed for 1 month straight, even though I know I want to achieve my goals? Why am I still depressed, or whatever the case is? And so I think this allows us to understand the different stimuli that are affecting us, how our consumption habits, sometimes the medication that you're taking, and a lot of times the beliefs, right? And how that affects your brain. And so when you can actually understand what's happening inside your brain and then detach yourself and look at it from a third person, it allows you to have that emotional maturity, and it allows you to really just grow. And so that was really powerful for me. Like, how does dopamine work? How does addiction work? What are some of the challenges that we're seeing in the modern medical landscape? And a lot of these beliefs that we've kind of just arrived at, that in many ways can be counterproductive, but society has just adopted them as the norm. I think there's another great book, the Anatomy of a Great Executive by John Wareham, written in 1984. I got it at Facebook, and he's like, that the people think that the norm, and this is great for the neurodivergent community, because guys, we need to be empowered. We need to love ourselves, because people think that the norm is to be a well-adjusted, mentally stable person, right? And I use mentally stable with care, right? But the actual norm is to not be well adjusted, which means, like, a lot of people have a lot of toxic mental behaviors, toxic beliefs, and like challenges that they're not aware of that are affecting their lives. And so for somebody who's neurodivergent, you might think that you're the exception, but it's just that society's version of whatever they're calling their neurodivergence, that's been accepted, and like we're just now breaking into the fold. But most people are struggling with a lot, and I think that that's one thing that I has kind of given me that confidence to be like, you know what? It's not just me who's going through it. It's not just me who gets anxiety when I got to send an email to my VP. It's not just me who might overthink or procrastinate sometimes, and then you don't understand why you're doing it, even though you want to hit your goals and you know you got that big deadline and you know it matters. It's not just you. Everybody's going through it. And so when you can first have that and then detach yourself from the process, boom, you allow yourself to actually start growing.
For sure. Yeah, and I think like what we're seeing a lot in the community is people that like oftentimes just don't have a ton of hope, right? And it's they've been
Yeah.
constantly been told by the people around them that they're not capable, they're not going to be successful in life. Like there's a lot of external talk that might feed a lot of these thought loops.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is I think the whole mindset here and the shift we're making is to sort of reframe, right? And
Mm-hmm.
say, what if this isn't a failure or flaw or something that's wrong with you, but it's just a transition?
Boom.
And it's like an almost like an evolution, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
diversity of thought can be embraced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, one of our missions is really how do we set this community up
Yeah.
to finally level the playing field because
Uh,
everyone's starting from square zero.
yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not like you could have gone to school for 5 years and have a head start. No,
Yeah.
this is like
Yeah.
the beginning of something new.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how, for people that, first of all, very process oriented people, right? Like what are things that they can do to go from a state of like no hope to having hope?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we, break it down so that it's like, if you do these steps, this will help you land your dream job.
Yeah. There's so many memes that go around about online courses and this, and people are talking about mindset. I just paid all this money for this program, and then the first chapter is all about mindset. I don't want mindset. I want technical solutions to my problems because I'm ready to execute. Okay, guys, let's take a step back. Because the mindset is what's most important, right? Like the two quotes again, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think you got no hope or you think you can change the world, you're right. Okay, so just believe it. Start there. And sometimes when you can't, sometimes you might not have the self confidence or the self belief to just believe that your life will be better, that you will achieve everything. But what I recommend to you, Les Brown talks about this. It's possible. That's where I like to start. You don't got to jump to believing that you're going to be the president of the United States, but believe that somebody like Barack Obama, like whoever the case is, can achieve that, right? So if you see other people doing it, know that it's possible for yourself. Number one, believe. Number two, every challenge brings an opportunity, okay? So now, once you have that mindset, I think so much of the work, 80-20, is just mental. It's mental. Get your mind right and then get your grind right. Now, how do you get your grind right? Well, I think it's portfolio, proof of work, and positioning. Okay. And so, first step, take a catalog of all of your experiences. Okay. And I don't want you to leave any stone unturned. I want you to be thinking about like what you did in college, what you did on a random internship. Your friend who owns a food truck asks you to design a flyer for them so that they can get more sales. Like take inventory of everything that you have accomplished, and then it's so important to look for ways to communicate impact. Okay, and so that can be through visibility. You help somebody get more reach, you help somebody articulate their message. Like just take inventory of all that. Once you have that inventory, then try to structure that into a portfolio, because everybody's going to make a resume and a LinkedIn, but how many people have a portfolio website? I would challenge the watchers of this call. If this call gets 100,000 views, I bet you that less than 20% of people have an active portfolio website up where they actually show all their projects. Every job I do, every consulting project, everything that even has the seeds of credibility, I turn it into a case study, I publish it in a portfolio, and then you have multiple channels of reference. You almost think about this like the blockchain. There's multiple nodes on the network that have to confirm proof of work. And so this is an insight from the PR industry and the marketing industry, is like, get your nodes up. Okay, so just do the pre-work, your resume, boom, LinkedIn, boom, and then treat your LinkedIn like your master resume. I have 22 experiences on my LinkedIn. Every internship, every conference, everything. Some internships I did over the winter semester for like a month at like Bain. I'm putting it on there. Oh yeah, you better recognize. Okay. So document those experiences, build your portfolio, And then again, start building your brand. I'm telling you guys, this is how I get job opportunity. I just turned down a 500K job for like reporting like a CMO position at a company that's doing 8-9 million a year. Why? I get those type of opportunities all the time because I have a brand. And some people are so scared to put themselves out there. But just know that means that it's an opportunity. If everybody's number one fear in the world is public speaking, that if you just post a little bit on social media, nobody's there in front of you. It's just you talking to your camera. It's an opportunity. And if you can't post your face, you don't want to post yourself talking, go search the top 5 articles in your industry every day, and then just have Claude, write an article for you and post it on LinkedIn. So now recruiters who are using LinkedIn are now going to see you as someone who is an authority in the space, and it's going to give your profile more rich data. Because on the back end of LinkedIn, we're seeing your profile, we're seeing your social media posts, we're seeing all of that, and we combine that to get a holistic view on the candidate. Again, so take catalog and inventory of your experiences, document everything, pad it out, right? And like, don't just stop at 3 bullets, man. Like, dig deep, get everything. And if you need help with that, definitely like connect with Mentra. They have a lot of programs that can help you do just that. Build your portfolio. Now with vibe coding, you can vibe code a portfolio website with Wix or Lovable with just telling it, this is the website that I like. Here's my friend's website that I like. Can you make me one? Now you got a portfolio. Now you got a padded LinkedIn. Now you're posting 5 times a day and it only takes you 5 minutes. Like, it used to take me like 2 weeks to write some of my content because I'm just thinking about the case study. But now I know what needs to happen. So boom. So you can start posting that. And you can even post stuff that doesn't have to show your face. On LinkedIn, you can talk about news. You can talk about popular figures in your industry. You don't have to always like show your face and become a personality, right? And a lot of people are so scared because they don't want the attention. They don't want to be a celebrity. But it's a tough pill to swallow. But the way the world is going, it's no longer going to be optional. If you want to be competitive in the job market and you want to command a higher salary, having a brand is the most important asset. And you need to think of your career strategy like you're building a brand. Okay. And so getting back to what is the process for somebody to go from no hope to actually landing their dream job. Number 1, belief. Believe that your better future is possible. Believe that you can achieve, right? Have hope. Any challenge you're experiencing now in life, I've gone through so much. It brings the seed of an opportunity, but you have to be perspicacious enough to see it. Now, once you've done that work, like do your affirmations every day, listen to binaural beats, check out high frequency headphones. It's a great product that allows you to meditate and reset and focus. Okay. Do that and do that every day. Next, you want to start focusing on your process. Take catalog, connect with Mentra, get yourself a career coach. We'll work with you to help you do that. And then just document your portfolio. Okay. And then start posting content. Figure out what is your role that you want to play in this social media content ecosystem. You can post yourself talking. You can post your thoughts only. You can post images. You can post news, or you can make an AI avatar of you where you don't even have to talk. You just have your AI avatar talk. Okay. And then that's how you allow yourself to stand out. Once you have that, then it's a matter of just, sometimes you got to do enough volume at a baseline just to get applications out so you can see some progress or momentum. You have your top company, you go all in on that. You go in for the kill. Once you apply for a job, start figuring out, okay, I applied for this job. Let me make sure I got my pitch right. Prepare for the interview. Then go and look up on LinkedIn everybody who works at the company. If you have even anything that can connect you to that person, it's an alma mater, it's an old mutual, DM them like, yo, here's why I want to be at this company. Here's why I'm excited about this role. Is there anything that you can do to help me prepare? Is there anything you can put a good word in for me? It's like sometimes you won't even get responses, but like, just do the work in advance of the opportunity coming to you. And that's how you'll be able to shift the scales of leverage in your favor. It's worked for me. It's worked for hundreds of people at this point. And I know that it'll work for you if you believe.
Oh my gosh, thank you. So much wisdom here. This is like years of work and conversations you've had, like jam-packed into a live stream. So we love it. Before we conclude, I know we're a little bit over, but I just wanted to keep going because this is great. Do you have any like life, just, tips, takeaways, like things that people should, if there's one thing to remember, what would it be?
Oh, that is such a good question. What's my one message for the world? Mm.
Your
Own
life.
your power. Own your power. Give back and leave no stone unturned. That's my message. Everybody has some unique God or universe given gift, right? Some unique natural talent. And figure out what that is. What is it that sparks you up? Like ADHD people, like we are very passionate and interest driven. Like I got to a point in my career where I was so motivated by the work that I was doing with startups and founders and with AI that I had to just take a bet on myself and go all in. You know, I'd been running my business on the side for a while and it was doing well, but I still had a little bit of fear. I still wanted that safety and security of those beautiful corporate, that corporate lifestyle, you know? But figure out what it is and go all in on it and then give back. It's like, I'm a big believer in whatever you want to get in this life, give it to others first and watch it come back to you tenfold. And your wealth will never be decreased by giving. And even if it's just giving a smile, it's giving support, it's giving a shout out, just be a giver. Comment on people's LinkedIn posts. Like I am a radical commenter. Like I comment on everybody's stuff. I put the social back in social media. You know what I mean? But that's just a form of giving. So give whatever you can. Then leave no stone unturned. Like, how did I get this job? 0.6 acceptance rate. Thousands, over 4,000, 5,000 applicants, like literally like 6 people, 7 people that they hired. Okay, how did I get that? I left no stone unturned. I'm taking cold showers and doing interview prep in the shower. Like, my name is Malik and I'm gonna be the best product marketer ever. You know what I mean? I'm listening to podcasts all day. I'm programming my brain for success. I'm taking a jog and I'm listening to podcasts. Like, if there is a stone to turn, you better turn it. You better do everything you possibly can to shift the leverage in your favor. That's the key. And so I believe if you ground yourself in those things and then you have a mindset that allows you to believe that you can change. A lot of us, we get into our 30s, life them punch you in your face a couple times. You're like, I don't like that. And it's hard to change. It's hard to believe that you can become a different person. But believe that you can change. Believe that you can learn a new skill. I know so many people, they want to get a job and I could snap my fingers and get you a job. But I know that even if I snap my fingers, you wouldn't believe that it could happen like that for you. You don't believe that with one decision, one move, one call, you could get a job in 1 week. If you meet the right person at the right time and you're prepared enough, if you left no stone unturned, if you're owning your power, if you're giving back, one call, one meeting, it could change your life, right? And so believe that growth is possible for you and then try to acquire new skills. Like I've designed my career to like just add things to my toolbox, add things to my toolbox. It's like I would be getting into these companies, like I'm talking to LinkedIn, they're like, why you want to work at LinkedIn? You're crushing it at Upwork, you launched, whole new features, talent marketplace, all that good stuff. Why you want to come here? It's like, I need more skills, baby. I need more skills in my toolbox. Okay. And so AI is changing everything. Don't look at this as like a fearful moment. These times of changes are times of opportunity. Legends, titans of industry are born, and it could be you. Don't let anybody ever dim your light, dull you, or make you feel like your neurodivergence or what makes you different from others, will hold you back.
Facts. Wow. Well said. And so you just to, your experience background is intact, but you were in product management, right? But you are technical as well.
Mhm.
So for like a lot of folks in the community are like, have that technical
Mhm.
inclination.
Mhm.
Can you share a bit about like, how do master kind of like that in, jobs in software, data,
Mhm.
cyber, like
Mhm. Mhm.
anything for folks that resonate? Oh yeah, and then shout out to people in the comments
Yeah.
too. Drop any questions, drop
Yeah, yeah,
anything
yeah. If there's
that you
anybody who has
want.
questions on my live stream, let me know as well. But for the technical folks, it's like, what can you do to just make yourself more competitive, right? This is actually why I think Facebook Meta is one of the best companies in the world to work at. Like, I have nothing but good things to say about all the companies that I worked at. But Facebook has a huge culture that's built around writing. and documenting your thinking. It's like so much of like the corporate politics at Facebook is like writing essays about your work. And I would come to my startups that I'm consulting with, and I'm like full 5-page thesis on this is the program, this is the data, this is the strategy. Engineers, the top engineers who are making that big bag, they know how to write well. And right now, I think I don't know if it's Greg Eisenberg or one of the popular AI influencers. They're like, with AI, the only two jobs are going to be just like writer and artist, you know? And that's like hyperbole. What you should take from that is that there's a lot of value in building writing as a skill set. And so if you're somebody who's technically inclined or even non-technical, just invest into writing. This is why I believe that creating content, creating case studies, building your portfolio, publishing on social media is one of the highest leverage activities that you can do that will compound immensely over time and build you into somebody who is a absolute unit. Okay, so if you're technical, try to start writing down your thoughts. Like write a product spec, guys. Like don't just jump in and start coding. I know you can code, but document your strategy, okay? Put the product roadmap on paper. Let's have a conversation about it. And so invest into communication. And communication doesn't always mean like being a skilled orator or being a skilled presenter. It just means being able to clearly structure an argument and document a process. And if you do that, you'll definitely be a lot more competitive than other engineers who don't have that communication skill. And so again, this is going back to this analogy or this metaphor of like just adding things to your toolbox. And so you look at what's happening in the market and how do you want to set yourself apart? And that's how you go about it.
So true. And to conclude, I just remembered something we talked about initially when we first met about why work in corporate. A lot of people are like, do I want to sell my soul? Like, is this even the right decision? And we were saying, like, for all of you in corporate, like, this is an amazing opportunity to learn about the pain points in today's economy. So, what you shared just opened my eyes to that. If you want to share.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, there's a lot of discussion that's happening in the space, right? Like, should you go the corporate route? Should you be an entrepreneur? Well, hey, you can do both, okay? And then it's what is that, like a false dichotomy or false whatever it's called? It's like, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right? Like me working in tech in corporate allowed me to build a multi-million-dollar business because I got insight, I got data, I got relationships. Oh, thank God for relationships. That's what you need, really. That's another investment you need to make. Meet people. And just even if you just want to DM people, I have so many people that we're only friends on the internet. We haven't met in person, but I'm closer to them than people I see sometimes like every week because we're connected on the same stuff. So working in corporate gives you an opportunity to build those skills that can propel you in the future. And yeah, I looked at like my career as like, dude, this is like, I'm getting my MBA in excellence and execution, right? And then, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Corporate is an opportunity. Leverage it to build your brand, leverage it to accelerate your career, use it as a launch pad because, they are using us. And sometimes it feels like you're saying a dirty word. I feel like I just said an oopsie, like saying, oh, the company is using you, but that is what the company is for. They are using human capital to achieve business outcomes. And so you should use the company to achieve your personal career goals. And it's a very fair, moral trade that you can make. Okay. And so don't feel like you have to do one or the other. And now because of AI and everything that's happening, it's so crazy because I used to feel insecure about the fact that I would spend my weekends working with startup founders, building their pitch decks to go try to raise, millions of dollars and stuff. And that's what I did outside of work. And so people ask me, what did you do this weekend? I got to say, I just read a book because I don't want to scare anybody and make it seem like I'm not committed. But now with AI, it's become the norm to be like a multifaceted entrepreneur. Another term that I coined back in 2020 when COVID was happening, I coined this term. It's an Instagram live. You can go find it if you want to look back 5 years through thousands of posts, but it's like the multi-hyphenate era. Nobody is no longer, you're not just, oh, I'm a product manager. It's like, oh no, I have a car business. I do car detailing. I do hair. I got a consulting business. I got a makeup studio, and I got a food truck that goes around. Oh yeah, I'm a music artist, I'm a dancer, and I'm a this. Oh yeah, I'm a coder, and then I have another startup that helps you make melodies. It's like you don't have to just limit yourself anymore. And so that's a really big thing. And so embrace that, embrace what makes you different, embrace your side hustles. And these companies nowadays, I use my side hustles to get better jobs and to get promoted faster. Because when I would go try to get a job in a new industry, before I got my job in Upwork or LinkedIn, I got hired by multiple startups to try to build HR SaaS technology that uses AI. So I helped launch like some startups that were similar. And so this is how I actually allowed myself to like leapfrog and get promoted faster, because my side hustles, my ADHD made me do side hustles on the weekend. And then I took those ADHD side hustles and turned it into a faster promotion. Okay. And so again, guys, don't let anybody ever make you feel like your neurodivergence is a disability. It is a superpower. And I want all of us to own our power and live in it.
Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. I feel like we could just go. Okay, this is definitely happening again. So
yeah,
100%.
Let's do a podcast segment, guys. I think this was a good one.
This is awesome. First one, pilot. It was a pilot. For folks who have, want to digest some of this and have questions for the next one, like feel free to drop it in the comments, and we'll like keep doing these and answering questions and diving deeper. Mālik, you have been a legend. Thank you so much. Is there any way people can connect with you? Can you share like what you're up to, how folks can stay in touch?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media at Mālik.io, Malick, spelled phonetically, .io. So I'm live streaming every day in the life of a 7-figure AI founder. And so I'm just showing behind the scenes of what it takes to actually build companies and what it looks like when you're loving yourself out loud. A lot of my content is highly unconventional, but it's an experiment in authenticity. It's an experiment in self-love and self-acceptance. It's an experiment to not be afraid to be your real authentic self and to share your truth. Right now, I'm heavily invested in growing companies with AI. And so if there are any businesses, entrepreneurs, or folks who want to use AI to achieve their goals, whether it's growing their business, generating more revenue, I've essentially taken all the things that I've learned helping companies raise millions of dollars and generate revenue and turn that into an AI brain. And so this is how I'm activating on the AI thesis, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. So follow me at Mālik.io. Let's connect on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to be of value to anyone who attended this call.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mālik. And everyone out there, I think like embracing all dimensions of who you are is really like what neurodivergence, like it's literally neurological divergence, which comes from nurture and nature, right? It's your environment, it's your culture, it's your background, it's your gender, it's like so much, but it's also what you think, and it's not about labels. It's about embracing the multidimensionality of who we are and embracing it. So rather than just being like conforming, based on and masking based on what people want us to be, like let's just be ourselves. And we are infinite, we are whole, we are abundant. So I am so grateful. Thank you. And everyone, thanks for joining. And yeah,